Man, I finally got through them schedule videos. They were brutal, weren't they? Bad to watch. Listen, I am not good at editing or graphics. You will not get that on this channel. So it is what it is. But now we're talking about the rival of Michigan, Ohio State. Are they quarterback university? Over the last couple of decades, who has had a better collective of quarterbacks than Ohio State? They've had a Heisman at the position and 2 national titles because of quarterbacks. If someone gets hurt or underperforms, they always have another one. Michigan knows this intimately, unfortunately. But under Ryan Day, the new coach, he likes the pocket passer the last 3 years instead of a running quarterback, which has lost to Michigan the last 3 years. So what is the philosophy going forward for Ryan Day? This is a precursor into a dive on Ohio State and their team, who they have coming back, who transferred in, how good can they be? Like I said, I've already done their schedule. I think they'll go 11-1 at the very least. Can they beat Michigan? So who else is the quarterback do you have any suggestions in the comments? Could it be Clemson? They had Boyd and Watson and Lawrence recently, but everyone else is questionable during the same 20-year period as Ohio State. Through history, USC has had 17 quarterbacks drafted, but not a whole lot recently, until Caleb Williams this year. Transfer in, he was there for 1 season, but draftees, I'm trying to take the NFL aspect out of it. What have you done in college? Who is quarterback? Game managers rule in the Big Ten, and that's a distinction because we play really great defense in our conference. It's not all about quarterback in our conference. The team matters, and Ohio State has had a great run, a 20-year run, mostly because of quarterback play. Here we go. It's in 2001, they had Steve Bellisari, probably the last of the bad quarterbacks that Ohio State has had. In 2001, because in 2002, Craig Krenzel won the national championship for Ohio State. He went 11-2 and in 2003. So he was a pretty good quarterback for them. And then in 2004, Troy Smith took over for Justin Zwick, and he started his path to a Heisman. In 2005, Zwick had the job again for Ohio State, but again, after 1 game, it was Troy Smith's show, and he went 10-1 as a starter in 2005. And then in 2006, Smith went 12-1 for the Ohio State Buckeyes, 65%, 2,500 yards, 30 passing touchdowns. But he ran versus Michigan that season. That's what won him the Heisman. In 2007, Todd Beckman took over and went 11-2. He was 64% passing that season, and then he was back in 2008. But a guy named Terrell Pryor took over, who Michigan wanted, but because of the tattoo scandal, some wins will be vacated here coming up for some of these players. But he was only 57% passing in 2009 when he actually got the start. But he had 779 rushing yards, and that's the difference in college football nowadays. Terrell Pryor was 65% in 2010, 2,800 yards, 27 passing touchdowns, and 750 rushing yards. He went 12-1, but like I said, vacated. In 2011, Joe Bauserman started, but then another guy came in. Braxton Miller took over in the 4th game. in the interim season. So it was Luke Fickell's interim season after Terrell, or man, what's the guy from Youngstown State? I forget. The senator, the head coach, Jim Tressel. He resigned. So interim season, and that's what happened there in 2011. In 2012, Braxton Miller was back as the starter, 58% for 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 1,200 yards rushing, and 13 touchdowns on the ground. And then in 2013, Braxton had 64%, 2,100 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, and 12 touchdowns rushing. And then in 2014, JT Barrett came in for Miller to beat Michigan. 14-1 season and a national championship, but it was Cardale Jones who ended that season with the national championship because JT Barrett got hurt. Yes, it was Cardale Jones that came in instead of Barrett. Sorry, Miller got hurt. I can't remember. Somehow they always have a quarterback that's going to step up and just sling it and be great, or run the ball. But in this case, Cardale Jones won the national championship as a backup in 2014. By game 8, Barrett was the starter in 2014. So he took over for Cardale Jones. And my question now is, can Ohio State start and finish a season with the same quarterback? Or is it smart to change it up mid-season, injury or not? Because it always seems to screw Michigan over when they do that at the end of the season, which is the game. It's the game for a reason, and people will figure that out. All the newcomers, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, you'll figure that out. That's the game. In 2016, JT Barrett was the starter, and he went 62% for 2,500 yards, 24 touchdowns, 850 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. He went 11-2, and he started every game. So there you go. Answered my question. And then he started every game again in 2017. 12-2 was Ohio State. Great stats again. 65%, 3,000 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, 800 rushing yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns. This dude was amazing. Enter Dwayne Haskins. He was amazing. As he was even more amazing. 70% passing in his one season at Ohio State. 4,800 yards. 50 touchdowns. But he's more of a statue. He went 13-1, though, at Ohio State. Rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. He was a special player, and he could have thrived in the NFL, I believe. That's just sad what happened. So, but we continue on with amazingly great quarterbacks throughout Ohio State history. 2019, Justin Fields was picked up. He picked up where Haskins left off, basically 13-1. He was 67% for 3,300 yards, only 41 touchdowns, but 500 rushing yards and 10-plus touchdowns. He was the real deal and he's at the Chicago Bears now, not doing so great, but he needs a situation where you have to have a good team. It's not all quarterback. The team matters. And Ohio State's had a damn good team all these years. In 2020, it was a COVID year. Justin Fields went 7-1 for Ohio State, won the Big Ten, and was 70% passing in that season. So no need to tell you the year stats because there's only 8 games in the Big Ten. But in 2021, C.J. Stroud was now Ohio State's guy. He went 11-2. He was 72% for 4,400 yards, 44 touchdowns, in his first season, but he had negative rushing yards. He's a statue again. And then in 2022, he was back and lost to Michigan again, 11-2 again though. 72 or 66% after 72% the previous season. 3,700 yards, so that dipped, and then 41 touchdowns, so that dipped by 3 for him in his second season. This is arguably Ohio State's best quarterback, but the one that didn't beat Michigan. So what does that tell you? Maybe you were onto something with these mobile running quarterbacks. I know he did well in year one for the NFL, like I said, but that's the NFL. In college, maybe Alex Orji is viable here for Michigan. So, after looking at all these other players, of course they were all great in passing, and they have the stats, but they were a runner as well. Anyway, I digress. Now, last season, another statue for Ohio State, Kyle McCord. He went 11-2 before he bolted to the transfer portal. He wanted out of there, but he was 66%. He had 3,200 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns. He had negative rushing yards. So I don't understand why he left, why Ohio State people wanted him out of there. He was another great person in line. The transfer portal and money talks nowadays with the NIL. It's different now. But at the very least, he could have been a great backup. But even Cade McNamara didn't want to be a backup. So who knows? Who knows what's going through these players' minds? Enter Will Howard through the transfer portal from Kansas State. And he is going to probably be your guy, like I said, or him or Devin, what was it? Devin Smith or something, right? Devin Brown will be your guy. Devin Brown's more of the runner. Will Howard, however, though, can run. He had 350 rushing yards last season for Kansas State and 9 touchdowns. And 61% completion percentage for 2,600 yards and 24 touchdowns. So just the consistency is why I think Ohio State has been quarterback. Even Alabama has had all the great teams, but are they that consistent at quarterback? They've had some good ones, so you could throw them in there. Georgia, Aaron Murray, Stafford, but a lot of, Stetson Bennett now, So who is quarterback you, and does it matter? Or is the most important thing everyone else on the team? Offensive line, defensive line, who is the quarterback passing to, who is defending. We're diving in here too. Ohio State coming up, all their transfers, what their roster is going to be here coming up next season. And if you guys want to see more of these types of videos where I dissect certain teams, just tell me the team, and if I get a few likes on it, I will spend some time doing it. So there you go. But as far as right now, my schedule is I've done schedule videos for the Big Ten. And I asked you guys if you wanted to see the SEC or another conference and how they rank. I might do them shorter and not give you as much information, just shorter videos and rank the schedules. Before we start talking about win game totals. They are not out yet in Vegas, I don't think, but I am formulating them right now because of the schedules, and we have to see spring games too, so just patience here. Patience. Videos will come. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Also, if you're a Michigan fan out there, Michigan hockey beat Notre Dame tonight in the Big Ten tournament. quarterfinal. First game. They got to beat them again once in the, you got to get a best of 3. So either Saturday or Sunday, they got to win to move on. And if they move on, I think they're firmly in the NCAA playoff. But we have to back up our 2-time Big Ten tournament championships, if possible. And they have a high-flying offense. Defense is the concern for Michigan hockey. But there you go. Like the video, share, subscribe. Share with other people. Go watch other videos of mine and have a great day out there, everybody. Go Blue.